Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay, Atlanta's new standard in payroll. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to Atlanta Business Radio. Stone Payton here with you this morning, and you guys are in for double the treat. Please join me in welcoming to the broadcast first, Miss Valyn Lyons, CEO and broker of the Cole Realty Group, and Michele Calloway, managing broker of Exit Realty Quality Solutions. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, it is a delight to have you join us on the show this morning. Valyn, I'll ask you first, just kind of an overview, mission, purpose. Tell us a little bit about what you and your organization are out there trying to do for folks.
We are trying to close the gap. We are trying to bring awareness, education, knowledge, and just bring us all together in this industry and an overall understanding of what's needed to educate our brokers, our agents, and everyone in this industry to help them bring more homeowners to the table and provide more generational wealth.
Do you feel like you've made some progress in recent months or years on this gap that you're talking about? Do you feel like you've got some momentum?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With Michele, Sharon, and I, all of us together, we have, Ron included, we're helping our agents. We're helping each other, our brokers. We have.
So, Michele Calloway, tell us a little bit about your work and describe for us what you're hoping to accomplish.
Right. So, as Valyn said, we have come together. Several different brokerages and team leaders have come together so we can work collaboratively to achieve our mission of not only bringing along training new leaders in our community in real estate, but also to be able to go out and perpetuate and grow this very, very big gap that we have in home ownership. I mean, it's 30% disparity gap. And so we had to come together. There was no way we could do it one-on-one. So this is a phenomenon where you see several different companies that would typically people think be in competition with one another, not be in competition, because our main mission is to narrow the Black homeownership gap, as well as to train up leaders that look like the folks that we're trying to get homes for. So there's a familiarity, so there's an understanding. So we're like-minded in that mission, and that is the goal.
Well, I think phenomenon is probably the right word, right? I was a little surprised actually when I got some of the paperwork and was looking into doing this show. I thought these guys, I mean, in one sense, they compete in the same space, in the same market, and you guys have not just found a way to collaborate, you've gone out of your way to collaborate, haven't you?
Absolutely. It's a $1 trillion industry. There's no reason why we can't help each other grow. And we all sit at the table together.
So, Michele, I'll start with you, but I'm going to ask you both to kind of tap in on this. Say more about this gap, because I don't think the average layperson, probably knows as much about it, or certainly not the cause and the potential solution set for this. So start with you, Michele.
I'll talk about two facts. First, when we're looking at the real estate professional, we know that in terms of Black real estate agents, we occupy 6% of Black real estate agents in the U.S., and less than 1% of those are brokers. So you have a 94% disparity in the professional side. Huge. Absolutely huge. And so when Valyn says that, when we know how large this business is, well, there's certainly room to increase that percentage of just the professionals. And then let me jump on the consumer side, the homeowner side. We are lower. We have 45% Black home ownership compared to the majority white home ownership is at over 71%. And so we have a 30% disparity in home ownership for the consumer, which is lower than back in 1968 when Fair Housing law was enacted. So the disparity on both the professional side and the home ownership for the consumer side is just unconscionable.
So Valyn, I'm operating under the impression that this tracks, very well with your experience as well. Speaking of this gap, let's talk causes. If we, it's got to be more than just over prejudice, right? It's more complicated than that. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it is. And since Michelle's talking the numbers, I want to tell you what that looks like for myself coming in the industry as an agent. I had a broker, but no one really was hands-on and showed me where to go. So for like a year, I think I sold one mobile home. Year 2, maybe 4 homes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
As a broker, I had agents, but I didn't really know what to do. So that's what those numbers look like when you're in the business and you look like us. Mm-hmm. There's no one out there helping us. And now as a homeowner, you're buying a home. And let me tell you how amazing Sharon and Michele and Exit Realty are. So when you're a homeowner and you get to the table and you don't have enough funds, what do you have, Michele, that you all created?
Our GAP fund. Not to pun on our title, but the GAP
They wrote a grant called the GAP grant. And see, those are things that we're teaching brokers like ourselves to do, that you're able to write grants to help homeowners. When you get to the table and you're short, you can have a GAP grant to close that gap at the table. And so those are things that are out there that we're able to do and teach. So homeowners come to the table and sometimes they're short. And I've been an agent and had to find down payment assistance because you still want to buy a home, but sometimes you don't have down payment. Right. So that's what those numbers look like. Right.
Yeah. Now, with all this great work that you're doing now, just for our listeners who may trip over this thing, 3 years from now, we're just coming into the spring of 2022. From my perspective as a layperson, the real estate market is nuts. my oldest has been turned down for 8 or 10 offers, and so has that impacted you guys in a good way, a bad way, or that's just part of the deal, and you're rocking right along?
Well, let's pick up on what Valyn was saying about even gaps.
Okay.
It is more exaggerated now in this market because of the fact, as you were saying, even in your family, your child has been, beaten out by maybe 8 deals.
Right. And
so what happens is that let's go back and tie some other things together about those numbers. So one of the challenges for many times for our homeowners in the Black community is that down payment, as Valyn said. And so they may be going for programs that do include a down payment assistance or some of those type of things. And it becomes increasingly difficult to compete in this market when you have specific type of programs that are needed to be able to buy your home, because the homeowner is going with those who may have liquid cash to be able to add to the transaction, and which is more difficult in our community. So when we tying all of that together, the market and our efforts with closing the gap and making sure we create more Black leaders, brokers, team leaders, is to show our agents how to work with the consumer in our community with the financial challenges and maybe even credit challenges that do affect their ability to compete in this very aggressive market, the seller's market, as it were, that we have going on today. So all of those things tie together. You can't really move that home buyer to be competitive in our market if you don't have the Black real estate leaders learning how to help them make those changes and make those and compete. I hope I was able to tie that together.
Well, yeah, you are. No, it makes all the sense in the world. And again, for the layperson or the person that doesn't find themselves in that situation, this is, I hope it doesn't frustrate you, but it's new information, right? We just don't think about that kind of thing. So this closing the gap live thing, it sounds like a great topic for a conversation at the barbershop or over a drink. Hey, we ought to do this someday. But but getting it off the ground has to be a whole nother thing. Tell us a little bit about how you got this, how you got some energy behind this and got it launched. That must have been an interesting process.
Well, we started a group of us, 5 of us. Ron Hutchinson is our mentor, and he has a group of us that he coaches and trains. And then so that's our initiative. That's how our initiative started. And Sharon and Michele, Exit Realty, Ron and I, we started that initiative, 2 years ago, Michele?
Yes, it's going 2 years now. Yes.
That's our passion. That's how it started. So Danny and I were talking about just having a network event and just bringing some agents together to network and give them a little bit of this knowledge, just a little bit. And then Ron is my bully. I'm a bully. When the bully has a bully.
Yeah, that's it. So, he's the bully.
Yes. So I asked him to help me with this networking event that was supposed to be very small, couple agents. And it took it and birthed a life of its own out of passion from other people like myself, Danny, just everybody that was there, Yakira, Cherie, everybody that was on the stage and participated, Sherelle. I mean, I just can't go on and name. I can't even remember. Everybody that showed up, flew in and gave their time and their knowledge and their expertise. It really birthed a life of its own. I can't tell. I stood on the stage and looked around and I burst into tears because that's what happened. When everyone heard what we were doing and what we were trying to share, they saw the need as well. It was aligned vision. And they knew it. But yes, we started 2 years ago. The initiative was 2 years ago, but this was literally a networking event. And all of our sponsors, all of our supporters saw it as well. It was much needed. And it's a movement.
Well, it certainly sounds like a movement. And you just mentioned sponsors. So you have found other entities, other individuals that are willing to put some weight behind this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. So one of the things, Stone, like Valyn said, like-mindedness, it's a universal law that you begin to attract things and people that when you have a clear idea that think the same way. And you know how it goes when you buy a car, you see that car everywhere in front of you. And it's only because that's now in your front view. It's no longer in your rear view. And so I think that's what happened to all of us. It was that we all had a like-mindedness and you just began to become like a magnet. When Ron was talking about Valyn's thought about having a networking thing at the same time, I'm talking to him about we wanting to do a broker roundtable because I'm in an educational space. And I'm like, we need education. He goes, wait a minute. And at this time, Val and I did not know each other. The conduit, the commonality was Ron Hutchinson. And he's like, wait a minute, I have someone over here that's thinking it may not be called the same thing, but you're moving in the same direction. And he was really instrumental of saying, we need to create a group that I can help. I'm helping all of you anyway. So why don't we help each other and come together, bring your resources, bring your friends, other agents that may not be in our network at that moment, bring them into the network and let's expand this. And so, like I said, collaboratively in terms of vision, Ron is the vision business bully that will push you to don't talk. If you talk about it, be about it.
Be about it. Be very afraid.
Be about it. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But it's real. But it's real, Stone. It is real, really
very
happening.
real.
It sounds to me like we could all use a little bit of Ron Hutchinson in our lives. So shout out to Ron.
Everybody needs a bully.
Yeah.
It's an interesting observation that you make, and it's very consistent with my experience as well. When you do get a group of like-minded people together and open your mind to a domain, a topic, a challenge, answers or potential answers really do just start to surface everywhere, don't they?
Yes.
I love that. Okay, I want to back up a little bit, and I'll start with you, Michele. I'd love to hear a little bit about the backstory. How did you find yourself in this career? Was that like a straight path, and you were playing real estate agent as a girl, or was it a little more circuitous than that?
No, I had a twisted path. Okay, no, I didn't go straight into real estate. It was a second career for me. Actually, I came out of computer support, but it became for me a passion because I come from New York City, and I was raised in the Bronx, New York, as an apartment dweller. So moving to Atlanta and back in '84 to start my adult life, I saw Black folks really being able to own homes. It was a different landscape than coming from up north, where most of the Black community. I'm not saying that you didn't have Black community that owned homes, but it's just a different kind of a metropolis, and you had mostly apartment dwellers. So to come to Atlanta and then you see this whole different lifestyle. I bought a home myself back then, and I decided that I want to make sure that everyone who would want a home would be able to buy a home. And so I became connected with a group called the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is the Black Real Estate Trade Association. And it's been around for 75 years. They're called realtors. And that was because historically Black agents could not become realtors, in the past. And so they began to be my training ground to be an advocate for home ownership, Black home ownership. And that got me into becoming a real estate agent. And the rest is history, 20 plus years for me in real estate, and to becoming a broker over 10 years, 12 years, and to becoming the first of 2 Black franchise owners for Exit Realty Corp., which is an international franchise real estate company. So my road is very twisted, but it came from becoming from an apartment dweller to a homeowner, first-time homeowner, and being led by a Black real estate leader. So this is, as Valyn says, we tie it all together, our history, that it's much easier to convert homeowners when they are talking to people that look like them, that say this can be done. It may be a little tough, but let me show you and take your hand and show you how to do it. And that just became what my whole passion has been about for the last 20 plus years.
Well, I'm so glad I asked. That is interesting. So, Valyn, how about your background?
Well, I wish my road was as intentional, but I'm originally from Florida, and I used to ride down Bayshore and look at the houses, and I'm like, I want to get inside those houses. So I decided I wanted to sell them. So I got my real estate license originally in Florida, but I didn't do much with it. So I moved to Atlanta. I've always been an entrepreneur. I modeled and did nails in Tampa, moved here, worked for an investment company. So at that investment company, they always talked about real estate. We did portfolio management. I started a post-construction cleaning company. Real estate was booming at that time. Started it from my desk. So I was in those houses managing my company. And I'm like, I want to sell these houses too. So I got my real estate license. I think it was 2006, I believe. So started selling real estate. At that time, real estate was not booming anymore. It crashed.
Sure did.
It crashed. I got my real estate at the time it crashed. Houses was $6,000. All of those beautiful houses I sold were now vandalized and abandoned. And everything was a foreclosure or short sale. It was a really, really, really tough time to be an agent. I was writing 25 offers for every client.
Wow.
I fought through it. This is what I wanted to do. It was very, very, very hard. I fought hard. I stayed in the game. I learned everything I could. I connected with everyone. My now husband was my client, and he was an investor. I learned how to flip property. I learned everything about investing, rehab. We did everything together. I then moved into new construction. That's when I started my own brokerage because I wanted to just keep my money. So I never intended to be a broker. I never intended to own my own brokerage. At that time, I had multiple communities. I was doing resale and I was flipping properties. I had like 35 properties. I was running all over Atlanta. So then I got out of new construction after a few years, after dominating that business and killing it. I was like, okay, did that. I met someone and she asked me to be her mentor. I saw that I could duplicate myself. And I was like, wow, this is after being in business for about 10 years in real estate, going through the short sale foreclosure, just dying during that hard time where there were birds in homes. I mean, it was bad. It was bad out there. You guys know what I mean. I was selling $6,000 duplexes. So I met someone, I duplicated myself and her, and I was like, wow, I know what I'm talking about. She was my top producer. She sold 5 million in the first year, 8 million in the second year. I did it again and again and again. And I saw a need. I saw this became my mission and my purpose. And I fell in love with this. And from there, I became this broker. It was my calling. And that's where the story is.
Well, I got to say, for both of you, I mean, you're both such a light, and in over the airwaves, I'm sure, and certainly in this conversation, it's clear. I mean, you guys have so much energy around this. You have so much passion for what you're doing. Clearly, this is both of you are finding this to be incredibly rewarding work. I'd like to hear from both of you, and I'll start with you, Valyn. What are you enjoying the most? What are you finding the most rewarding?
Most rewarding for me is to see my agents grow. I actually go back in their Instagram and look at them when they first started and now, and I send it to them and I smile. And you know what else is rewarding? When they send me text messages and they're like, Valyn, do you know how much I sold? And do you know, and they send those to me, or when they pick up their new car or they bought a house or they tell me how happy they are. I love that. Like, that is my reward, to see them grow and shine and how happy they are and what they do for their families and how I impact their lives and how I know they're impacting the lives of others, because they tell me the stories of their agents. And I literally, I sit back and I watch it all. And I know that I did that. Like, I stuck in and I got the webs on my back and I carried the load and I did all the meetings. I did all the meetings and I did all the paperwork and I did it. I did it.
Oh, that is great. How about you, Michele?
Yeah, there's nothing like watching someone that was just coming out of school that knew that absolutely nothing. And you see them turn around and you've trained them. You've been able to provide programs that help them start building a career. They have production, or we've had several people who were part-time agents working a full-time job that, through the efforts of what we've put together at our company, have been able to become full-time and have a sustainable business model that they can look at supporting their family. And I have single mothers who were part-time, who are now full-time agents and can count on what we provide for them to grow their business to be able to take care of their children. And I'm very, very big into education. So one of the things that was important to me and that I get joy out of is to be able to have a business situation. I call it the umbrella. And I say to my agents, this is where your gas pump is, and that you're the CEO of your individual business. And we're here to supply that gas line for you that you can keep coming to plug into, to pump, to keep going back out there to do your mission. And your mission is to take care of your family first and to uplift the communities that you serve and be the trusted advisor. And I see this manifested. I just like Valyn, I really enjoy us moving into those leadership positions in our companies where we can provide those services that many, many other, and I'm going to say it, other Black companies don't have the ability to do. And that's what we're trying to make sure that we're able to do. And that gives me so much pleasure to be able to offer what I wasn't even able to get. You know, when our story started sounding similar in some ways because there are certain issues that happen in our community. Yeah. So when we are able to step out, it just brings a piece of joy when you're like, oh my God, I took the whelps on my back. I was there during the short sales and the foreclosures. I was there when people's doors were closing during the pandemic. We made it, but it's for our agents to be able to flourish and grow. And there's nothing better than that in the world. There's nothing better.
You know, we were talking a little bit earlier in the conversation about like-minded people, and it brings up for me this whole idea of ethos and value system and focusing on what's important to us and metrics that matter, that kind of thing. As I understand it, to be part of the pilot program for this Closing the Gap Live thing, you had to already document or demonstrate that you were already, both of you, already involved in supporting nonprofits and good causes around town. Could each of you speak to that a little bit, but a little bit about, you know, what drove you to do that and some of that experience, but also why it was, why it was so important to the organizers that you already sort of had that under your belt?
Yes, Stone. So what's really was important that not only you were about business, because that's one-sided, but because part of Closing the Gap, well, before it was Closing the Gap, was that we wanted to make a difference in our whole community. And so for you to come to say, well, now because there's a business opportunity, I'm interested in the community, was a non-starter. You had to already demonstrate that it wasn't going to be just good talk to say, well, I want to help train up leaders and so they can make good in the community. You have to already demonstrate that. And then what the plan was and the exchange was, if you already had your hands in your community and on your business, we'll help you to increase that and do better at that. And so one of the phenomena of that is that both of our companies, and we've even collaborated together to even be more powerful to the nonprofits, but increasing your business model, how was that going to affect and be able to help us do more, give more back to the nonprofits that we were already helping before and add on, which we have done very successfully, doubled, tripled, quadrupled giving in the last 6 months to two new nonprofits and the nonprofits we were already working with. So we already had to have our hands in the community so that we can only do more. We can show the ecosystem. And I want to put that word out there. We have a very big ecosystem, and that includes the nonprofits and the for-profits. That means your mortgage companies, your attorneys, your inspectors, your movers, your landscapers, and the nonprofit side. So, Valyn, just go ahead and hit some more on our ecosystem, how that's so important, what we're developing.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I mean, in terms of like, even with like, for me, I like to have my closing attorneys, my inspectors, everyone that we work with. It's important that we build that strategically. I call it our strategic partners, our preferred lender list, or even down to the photographer that we work with. That we build that infrastructure and make sure that it's strong and that we're referring that business throughout our community.
So I got to ask you guys, and again, you both are just so bright and passionate and inspired. I mean, what a great way to spend a Monday morning. But you're human, so I'm going to ask each of you to share with us. And Valyn, I'll start with you. But where do you go for inspiration to recharge the batteries? Is it reading? Is it travel? Part of the answer is probably Ron Hutchinson. But yeah,
my inspiration. I love to travel. And I have these two little people that's under 2 years old, and they drive me insane. They call me Gaga. And I had to kick one of them out of my bed so I can get on here this morning. She was so annoying. Let me tell you what she did to me last night. She took this power nap late in the middle of the day, so she wasn't sleepy last night. So she just kept poking me in the eye and in the nose and in my mouth till like 1 o'clock in the morning. She would not let me sleep. So I had to turn my back on her and was like, leave me alone. My grandchildren are my absolute joy. And I do love to travel. And I feel like once I get a taste of travel and I get my grandkids, as much as I feel like I'm so old when I have them because they're so heavy and they wear me down. I do the airplane and everything. But yeah, I'm ready to do it all over again. Once I get Gaga in, I'm ready to do it all over again.
Oh, wow. How about you, Michele?
Yeah, I also love to travel, So what I do love about our business today, you can travel, and because of Zoom, internet, and everything, you can be anywhere and still take care of what you need to do. So you never know where we are. So I do get a lot of peace from that. But I have a niece that is a college student, and she is my heart and joy because of her. We're actually putting together a summer youth and real estate initiative, and those kinds of things where I blend in what I do to be relaxed is along with my mission, like it melds into one. That's a relaxation for me because I just feel like everything just fits together. I don't have to compartmentalize. It just all flows very seamlessly. And that just brings me a peace. That's like how I want to, that's what I've been striving for. And that's the direction I wanted to go. And like whatever I'm doing, wherever I touch, it just, can add a light to something. At the same time, I'm enjoying myself. Vacation at the same time while I'm doing something good. Love it.
Yeah, it sounds like your discipline is much more of an integrated lifestyle than achieving a balance or and giving equal effort to these compartments. That's
that's a lot of work. I think we just kind of let it all meld together. If Valyn's over in Europe, then she's looking at, she might be looking and putting some business deal together, but at the same time, she's having, she's sitting on the Riviera or something. Like, let it all blend together.
Yes, I definitely work more in Europe because it's 5 hours ahead. I realize when I come home, I get nothing done here being on the same time. If you think about it, you can't do much when you're moving in the same time as the world. So when it's 5 hours ahead, I get so much more done because you guys are 5 hours behind.
Yeah.
What an interesting perspective. I think that's great. So I do have this is a bit more of a tactical question, but I'm kind of from the sales and marketing world in the professional services business. How does the whole sales and marketing thing work for a real estate agent? It just occurs to me that it could be, a kind of a crowded, competitive space. How does the whole sales and marketing thing work for someone who's out there in the trenches, helping people buy and sell real estate?
In terms of,
like, is it a lot of networking? Is it advertising? Is it relationships?
It's all of that. It's all of that.
Okay.
It hasn't started from day one. I mean, everyone's getting on social media, but I believe, and Michele, I don't know if it's the same for you, when I think of like how we used to do it with mailers and farming, I always like to go back. I'm an old school girl. I've been in this business for over 14 years. And when I teach my agents, I'm like, I like door knocking. I like when I have an open house to go invite the neighbors. So I know everybody goes to social media and like to do blast and do stuff like that. But I'm so old school. I like to knock on doors. That's how I had 15 15 people at my open houses.
So we do a combination. Actually, that's why I say it's all of it. Because when I'm teaching, it's and what I say that, and I'm been out here a minute. Like Valyn, I say to them, do not, because what happens is that your younger agents start thinking only social, and then your older ones think only tactical. And so what I say is that we have to do a happy medium. So it's some of it all. I'm teaching that no, you cannot not do videos, and no, you have to do some social media postings, and you have to engage, because that's a force for me. That's not natural. I have to make myself do it. But at the same time, guys, we're getting out there. Like you said, Valyn, we're door knocking. You're making sure the whole street knows that you're having an open house. You want to have an open house because you want to have, there's goals behind that. So really, I think the winning combination is when we start using all of those old school and new school together. It's not one or the other. Like,
both, yes.
And you can only get that mix when you have people like us who have been in the business 15, 20, 25 years, where we only had one way before, but now we're in another world, and we see the balance of bringing it together. I think that's when you see, like, because both of us have been in the business 15 plus years, so we've lived through, doing both.
Well, the work that you two are doing is just, it's inspiring. It's incredible. Please keep up the good work, and let us know. Let those of us in the business community and other people that would like to think that they are like-minded, let us know how we can help. And one of the things I want to do before we wrap, I want to make sure that our listeners have an easy path to go learn more about all this, and to reach out if they ever want to have a conversation with you or someone on your team. So let's make sure we do that before we wrap it. And I'll start with you, Valyn. Whatever you think is appropriate, whether it's the website, email, whatever. Let's make sure that these folks can connect with you.
Yes. If they want to find out about our initiative, you are like-minded, follow us at closingthegaplive.com. That's where you can find out about our mission, our next live event, where it will be located. And if you want to sponsor or join us or be a part of it, closingthegaplive.com. You can follow me or contact me at thecolerealtygroup.com. That's thecolerealtygroup.com. Or I'm at Valyn, what am I? The Real Broker of ATL on Instagram. The Real Broker of ATL on Instagram. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, Michele, how can we connect with you?
Yes, also same, closingthegaplive.com. And then specifically for me, you go to Exit Realty Quality Solutions with an S.com. And that's Facebook is the same, Exit Realty Quality Solutions. And my IG is Exit Realty QS. And you can find me in those ways. Oh, my phone number, 770-672-6069.
And that group of people who may very well want to reach out and have a conversation, that might include agents that are looking for a brokerage home. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it has been an absolute delight having both of you on the show. I hope you'll come back sometime and maybe, give us an update on everything from the Closing the Gap Live to what's going on in your individual businesses. But you have made this a marvelous way to invest a Monday morning. Thank you both.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
It's been wonderful. We can't wait to come back.
Yes.
All right, this is Stone Payton for our guest this morning, and everyone here at the Business RadioX family saying we'll see you next time on Atlanta Business Radio.